Today, the Senate Energy Committee held the third in a trio of climate and energy hearings this week. Today's topic, offshore energy exploration. And the discussion there quickly turned to one of the most contentious exploration areas. That is the Chukchi Sea on Alaska's outer continental shelf. Estimates say that vast area contains up to 15 billion barrels of recoverable oil and 77 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. But in 2007, one of the richest drilling leases there was awarded, only to be then put on hold. Clean Sky's Dan Goldstein was there for today's hearing in the Senate office building. And Dan, it sounds like Chukchi may be becoming the next ANWR. I mean, it's a real flashpoint for environmentalists at this point.
Yeah, exactly, Tyler. And you can tell that the battle lines are already being drawn. Obviously, you know, this things we've already heard before, where you have environmentalists saying that still, despite the technological advances in oil drilling, there's still threats of blowouts no matter what. Coastlines can get soiled. And we heard a lot about that today. And of course, the oil industry came back and said, no, we've made tremendous progress. We can do this safely. We can do this at greater depths than ever before. And we can certainly do it safely in Alaska. But definitely there was a lot of contention over the Chukchi Sea lease. Now, just give you some background. Basically, native populations in the Chukchi area have long been against fishing, or oil drilling there because of threats to fishing. And earlier, environmentalists won a huge victory that halted drilling in the Alaskan OCS over this very issue, saying that the Bush administration, which was putting this lease together back in 2007, didn't do its homework with looking at possible threats to wildlife when it came out to its 5-year plan. And what happened is that kicked it right back to the Minerals Management Service and said, hey, you've got to redo this. The problem was lease sale 193, and that was the big one in 2008, and it raised $2.6 billion. Basically, they said, you've got to still finish your studies, or that's exactly what MMS said. And NOAA, which is the agency now responsible for protecting environments, has come back with another analysis saying there shouldn't be any oil drilling whatsoever in the Chukchi Sea, and there could even be a further delay, Tyler, because we found out there's 450,000 comments from the from the MMS plan for the next round of sales that go until 2012. So there might be another top of the delay. And that's led companies like Shell, which, as you've heard, they leased $2 billion, or I should say they paid $2 billion for these leases in the Chukchi Sea, and they're worried whether they're going to even be able to drill at all. And you heard Lisa Murkowski today say basically that according to her, the administration is running out the clock.
When a lease sale is held, the government should be prepared to do the required permitting and environmental work in a timely manner by ensuring the necessary financial and human resource support. The regulatory system has worked well in the Gulf of Mexico for 50 years. The federal system for the Alaska OCS, by contrast, is in need of attention.
I am compelled to voice my growing concern over this administration's approach to OCS. It's now been over a year since the offshore moratoria were lifted. This committee has voted for greater offshore production to boost our economy and our energy security. But there have been many executive actions, and perhaps a few that have not been taken, that appear to be taking us in an opposite direction here.
Now, obviously, Murkowski is very concerned about what she sees as delays on the part of the administration, especially in the areas of the Chukchi Sea, which she says, obviously, as you heard, and you heard Marvin Odom from Shell say, are probably some of the most valuable real estate in Alaska that could bring a large amount of revenue to the state of Alaska. And she's very concerned that actually, though even those lease sales have gone forward, that the sales have been made, that actually there may not even be any drilling for months and years. And of course, that makes environmentalists very happy. So what she told yesterday the MMS to do was to hurry up and get with it. And according to her and some of the her other colleagues in the Senate, that's Democrat Mark Begich and Don Young of Alaska, also a Republican, the Alaska congressional delegation said the MMS has to get with it, basically, on getting this analysis done and getting back to the court so these leases can go forward. And keep in mind, Tyler, you know, this is probably part of a huge game and a huge strategy, maybe when it comes to cap and trade, because this is just another example of what another lawmaker wants for that 60th vote when it comes to getting cloture for cap and trade. And don't think that Harry Reid isn't keeping a list of who wants what. Now, remember, we talked about earlier this week that Lamar Alexander of Jim Webb of Virginia wanted more nuclear power. We heard from Max Baucus, who voted no in the EPW committee earlier this year, saying he wants more help for the coal industry. And then we heard from Susan Collins, who wanted more help for wind farms in Maine. So basically, you can bet that Harry Reid is keeping tabs of all these requests, and obviously getting the Department of Interior to say yes to more Alaskan oil drilling, especially in the Chukchi region, may go a long way to helping Reid get those 60 votes for cap and trade, Tyler.
Yeah, a lot for Energy Committee members to digest this week after 3 hearings. Dan Goldstein, thank you very much.